It is hard to believe week 5 of the college football season. We are rolling into it. It is time for the YLose Campus pod. I am Lance Taylor, where we're coming off another winning weekend for you. Very simple to get our plays. Daily package $49, weekly $99, monthly $299. We have got 3 plays that we're eyeballing again this week. If we don't go 3-0, you buy the daily, we upgrade you to the weekly. You buy the weekly, we upgrade you to the monthly. We've got to go 3-0 this Saturday. We're confident about that. We are going to preview 5 games for you. At least I'm going to get into 5 games. Coach Rick Bowe will jump on. He's got kind of a hidden gem out there. It's a Group 5 game. Luke, the prop master, will jump on. He has got more of a, we'll call it a mainstream game. It's a Power 5 game out West Coast. He will give you a prop that he loves on that. So getting into this, a story that's just as major right now in college football is what's going on with UNLV. And I said this after watching them week 1. Just dominate Houston. And I know Houston, not a very good team. Willie Fritz trying to rebuild that in year 1. But there was something about this 9-win team from last year that Barry Odin had. And I thought it was something about Matthew Sluka, their quarterback. This is a kid that transferred in, was completely dominant running the football at Holy Cross. And apparently he gets an NIL deal. He says he wasn't paid what he was owed. UNLV said that they never owed him the money, that it came from an assistant coach. You would think for the $100,000 they could work this out, considering they're 23rd right now in the coaches poll. They're undefeated. They've got a huge game against Fresno this week, and they have got every opportunity to be that Group 5 rep and get the auto bid and the millions and millions of dollars it would mean for UNLV. This just doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, that's the big story, and that has affected that number. Typically a quarterback is the only one that's going to move a number, but that thing has gone from UNLV as a healthy 3-point favorite to now they're catching a 1.5. I've seen it as much as UNLV catching 2 in some shops. That game goes off 3:30 FS1. That is not one of the games we're going to be looking at. We are going to be looking at a Fox game to start, though. 3:30 Fox, Colorado at Central Florida. I stayed away from this Colorado-Baylor game last week. I took a look at Colorado. I wish we would have played it. Again, we had a winning Saturday, so it didn't really matter. But the way they won that, taking it to overtime on what was kind of a Hail Mary, just a massive defensive breakdown for Dave Aranda. Now Colorado goes on the road, the bounce house, to take on Central Florida and the undefeated Knights, Gus Malzahn's team. KJ Jefferson has been good. He hasn't been great, completing 63% of his passes. He's only turned it over once through 3 games. RJ Harvey has been the difference in this offense. He's gone 448 on the ground. He's averaging almost 8 per carry. He's got 8 touchdowns. You look at UCF, they've only allowed 192 total yards on the ground, only giving up 64 per game. Look, they really haven't played anybody. It was a nice comeback against TCU. But on the other side, Colorado has played one team with a pulse, Nebraska on the road in Lincoln, and they got demolished. Travis Hunter has been a fantastic story. He's got some of the shorter odds to win the Heisman this year, and definitely is the best complete player. First FBS player in the last 20 years with 5 touchdown receptions, an interception, and a forced fumble in the same season. And guess what? It's not even October. It is amazing the next time we do this pod, it will be October. But game 1, we are taking a look at UCF. We're laying the 14. Colorado in their 16 games under Deion Sanders. 7 games as a favorite, 6-1 straight up. 9 games as a dog, 1-8 straight up. They're just not good in this situation. And I think eventually Central Florida running the football with RJ Harvey and not allowing Colorado to do anything. Again, Colorado will be one-dimensional in this game, and I think they're able to get to Shedeur Sanders. I think Colorado offensively can hang with them for a little bit, but I do think UCF ends up pulling away and wins this game comfortably. We are laying the 14 with our first game there. So, again, taking UCF minus the 14, locking and loading that one right here on the YLose pod. Our next game up, we're going to the SEC. Really, I talked about this. The epicenter of college football last week was in Oklahoma. And both home teams disappointed. Oklahoma State looked awful. Alan Bowman was awful. He was replaced, and he ended up coming back, and they made a semblance of a game. And then Oklahoma completely dominated by Tennessee. Now Oklahoma with a new starting quarterback in Michael Hawkins. They head to Jordan Hare to take on Auburn, where Auburn 6-19 straight up in their last 25 games against Power 5 opponents. They have not beaten a Power 5 team that finished with a winning record since Halloween weekend of 2021, and that was against Ole Miss. So that's been 3 seasons. This is a deadly combination when you think about this. Oklahoma leads the nation in forced takeaways with 12, and Auburn has the most giveaways in all of football. They're leading the nation with 14 turnovers. With that said, the offensive coordinator, Seth Luttrell, the guy that came over, used to be North Texas's head coach. Jeff Lebby leaves, goes to Mississippi State. That's been a disaster, by the way. But Luttrell's offense in year one, the scoring is down almost 13 points per game. They're last in the SEC in yards per game. They're last in the SEC yards per play. And how about this? Oklahoma coming off the loss, they still have games currently against the number 1 team, the number 2 team, the number 4 team, the number 6 team, the number 11 team, and the number 14 teams. They still have 6 games against top 15 teams. That is insane. With all this said, Brent Venables has not been very good. 19-11 as a head coach. I know Hugh Freeze hasn't been really good either. Oklahoma only 5-5 in the road games. First road SEC game ever. Right now, Oklahoma's listed as a 2-point favorite with Michael Hawkins coming in. I don't like this situation for Oklahoma. Look, it's really hard to play this game one way or another, but I think Peyton Thorne getting the start for Auburn will be the difference. I think Hugh Freeze jumped the gun a little bit, giving Hank Brown, the freshman, the start last week against Arkansas, where he threw the 3 picks. Auburn had 5 turnovers overall. They've got to clean that up. I think they will clean it up a little bit. And they are 11-6 against the number after a home loss since 2016. Give me the Auburn Tigers catching points against an awful Oklahoma offense. I do like Oklahoma's defense, but the offense is awful, and I don't think Michael Hawkins will have any success on the road against Auburn. So we're locking that one in. Auburn +2. That is game number 2. We are now going to take it to the ultimate prop master out there, our man Luke, to get his plays. YLose.com/props. That easy. And he's got a big prop. West Coast, Wisconsin at Wisconsin at USC. That game in the Coliseum going off at 3:30 Eastern Time. CBS right now. USC a 15.5-point favorite. The total of 51. Let's bring him in though. Right on time. There he is, the prop master, Luke. Luke, let's talk a little Wisconsin and USC. What do you have for us today?
Thank you, Lance. I'm locked and loaded in this new Big Ten matchup. Trojans quarterback Miller Moss has a passing yards prop of over/under 296.5 yards as he has his team looking to bounce back after a tough loss at the Big House last week against Michigan. Moss has looked fantastic so far this season, and he has Trojans fans thinking playoffs. We talking about playoffs? Moss tore up a terrible LSU defense in week 1 as he went for 378 through the air, but he's then gone under this number of 296 the last 2 weeks, despite throwing the ball 51 times against Michigan. He was under duress all afternoon as USC's offensive line was manhandled. But he's now facing Wisconsin, and they are not the same Badgers defense that we grew accustomed to year after year under Jim Leonhard. They were tough. However, Wisconsin still has the 29th best passing defense in the country. On the flip side, the run defense is getting shredded, allowing 4.46 yards per carry. We expect USC to establish their ground game to keep Miller Moss upright and handle this game. If it's a close one, should be low scoring, because the Badgers will certainly try to slow down the game with starting quarterback Tyler Van Dyke out for the season. If USC blows them out, we also like USC to run the clock later in the game. Moss is going to get his yards in this game, but we project him going under 296.5. Lock that in. Book it.
There he is. Thank you, Luke, the prop master. We're going to bounce back here on the YLose pod. We've given you 2 games on my side that we've locked in with 2 home teams. We've got UCF minus the 14 against Colorado. We've got Auburn plus the 2 at home. We're going to stick in the SEC, and it is the biggest game. It might end up ultimately being the biggest game in all of college football in the regular season this year. Georgia, 16 consecutive quarters. They have not allowed a touchdown. They have won now 41 straight regular season matchups. Is that right? No, it's 42 regular straight wins. The last time Georgia has lost a regular season game, you've got to go back to COVID. And wherever you're consuming this right now, this pod, just think back where you were in the fall of 2020. That is how long it has been since Georgia actually lost a regular season game. That is amazing. More amazing on the other side, and I've got conflicting reports on this, but I did confirm it with somebody at the Action Network that Alabama, I thought it was 90 straight games they had been favored in. It is actually 113 straight home games. The last time they were an underdog, Nick Saban's first season, 17 years ago, 2007 against LSU. Can Bama run the football, though, against this Georgia defense? That's the question. Even in the win last year in the SEC championship game, they ran it 41 times, averaged less than 3 yards per carry, only 114 total yards. I think this game sets up really good for Georgia in a couple of ways. Look, Kirby Smart had a Nick Saban problem. He was 1-5 against Nick Saban. The only win, that national championship in 2021 in Indianapolis. Kirby Smart's first national championship, Georgia's first national championship since 1980. This is the first top 5 matchup of the 12-team playoff era. Kirby Smart has not had a lot of success against Alabama, obviously at 1-5. His first shot at Kalen DeBoer. Now, Kalen DeBoer has been fantastic as an FBS coach, and against ranked opponents, he's 12-2. That is insane right there. But Kirby has won 5 straight top 5 matchups, and this is what you get. Carson Beck wasn't good in Lexington, but if you go back to 2020, the last 3 times Georgia has been there, their offense has been awful. I think it sets up good for Georgia based on the fact they did not look good in Lexington. They go on a bye. Then last week or 2 weeks ago, Alabama goes into Camp Randall and smokes Wisconsin 42-10 en route to knocking out Tyler Van Dyke for the season. So I think a lot of people look at this. Georgia, they're thinking maybe not as good. Ladd McConkey, big loss. Brock Bowers, a big loss. Who are going to be these offensive guys that step up? I just believe in Carson Beck. As good as Jalen Milroe has been, and he has been a touchdown machine. I mean, basically averaging 4.5, 5 touchdowns per game. Carson Beck coming off 160 passing yards in Lexington, his fewest in 17 career starts. I think Mike Bowe, your offensive coordinator, dials up some deep shots for Carson Beck, and I think he has success in this game. Well, it should be a tremendous game. Right now, Georgia, a 2-point favorite, total of 48.5. I am locking in the Bulldogs. Anytime you can get a team that got snubbed from the postseason last year, was probably the best team in college football. No disrespect to Michigan. I know they went 15-0 and won the national championship. They did not want to see Georgia last year. So Georgia may be the best team in football, got snubbed last year. They have won 42 straight. They haven't had a turnover in a game since last year, Carson Beck's fumble in the SEC championship game. They haven't lost a game in which they didn't have a turnover since the 2018 SEC championship game against Alabama. I think they play clean football on Saturday night in Bryant-Denny. I like Georgia minus the 2. We are going to lock in our 3rd game right there with the Georgia Bulldogs. And this is kind of like back in the day when you could get Nick Saban less than a touchdown. You typically jumped on that because that was what we called value. I think getting Georgia less than a field goal on this current run right there, I think you call that value. Our next game, we're taking a look. We're going to the ACC. Kind of a disappointing start for both of these teams. I know SMU's only loss, and this game goes off 8 o'clock Eastern, ACC Network. Right now, SMU 6.5, total of 47.5. Very low total, by the way. This is the way these Florida State games have been playing. SMU's only lost so far this season to BYU. They've outscored their other 3 opponents 154-73. Florida State finally gets that win. It wasn't pretty against Cal. But 16 straight regular season games now for the Noles. They have not given up more than 30 points. When SMU is having success, it's when this offense is going. Preston Stone, obviously out now. Kevin Jennings is going to be that quarterback. The reason Rhett Lashley is playing Jennings is because he can actually mask some of the problems this offensive line has. This is a bad offensive line, and I think that's going to be the difference. I think Florida State will be able to apply pressure on Jennings. They'll be able to rack up on the tackles for loss. I think Florida State, a little momentum after that home win in Tallahassee. Now they're going on the road in Dallas. But I like Florida State catching 6.5. That's an inflated number. You look at that number back in the summer, you're probably laying 6.5 to 10 with Florida State. But obviously with the Noles coming in at 1-3 in this spot, they're getting points. I will take them. I'll take the 6.5, and we will take Florida State. So there you go. We've got 4 games locked in. We're going to get to our 5th and final game in a minute. But it is time for the coach Rick Bowe. Very simple to get his plays all weekend long. YLose.com/coach. And he has got a rando game for you right here. It goes off. I'm trying to even find where this game is. I told you it was Group 5. I don't even know if we got television on this. It doesn't matter as long as you win it. It is ESPN Plus. You can stream it. 7 o'clock kick time. Tulsa going to Denton, Texas to take on the Mean Green. Coach Rick, welcome in. Very random game you have found here in Denton, Texas between Tulsa and North Texas. Talk to us. What are you seeing right here?
Thanks, Lance. So last week I played North Texas when I saw that they were just 3-point favorites against Wyoming. Thought, man, that number's just way too low. And of course, the Mean Green go on to beat Wyoming 44-17. And I think we have the same deal here this week. North Texas 3-1 now. They're favored by 6.5 against Tulsa, a team that's 2-2. Golden Hurricane beat Louisiana Tech last week in OT. They beat an FCS team in week 1. They're 3-8 in their last 11 games, and the defense is garbage. Tulsa's pass defense ranks 112th in the country. They give up 294.3 yards per game through the air. North Texas quarterback Chandler Morris is going to have a field day. He completes 66% of his passes, over 1,200 yards. He's got 11 touchdowns. And North Texas passing game is 9th in the country. They average 327 yards per game in the air. Morris attempts over 40 passes a game. North Texas offense, 17th in scoring. They're averaging over 39 points a game. Tulsa gives up 31 a game, and I think that's why this game total is set at 68.5. You might take a look at that as well. Anyway, North Texas 10-3 straight up in their last 13 games at home, 8-3-1 against the spread in their last 11 overall. Eric Morris, who's no relation to his quarterback, he's in his second year already. He's 11-6 against the spread. His teams are 4-1 against the spread when they're playing as the favorite. And I'm going to roll with a home team here tonight. Give me North Texas -6.5.
There you go. Leave it to the coach to find one of those hidden gems for you. That is Coach Rick Bowe. Again, get his plays, YLose.com/coach. Again, to get our plays right here, YLose.com/Lance. Back-to-back winning weeks. We've been killing it in college football. Jump on board and win with us. We are going to slay it for you. We've got 3 games eyeballed. If we don't go 3-0, guess what? You buy a daily for $49, you get the weekly. We upgrade you to that. You buy the weekly at $99, we don't go 3-0, we upgrade you to the monthly. It's that simple. Get our plays, daily $49, weekly $99, monthly $299, YLose.com/Lance. Our final game, we're going out to the West Coast. I love this. We finally get an 11 o'clock Eastern time kick on Fox. Oregon heading into the Rose Bowl to take on UCLA. One of our losses last week, we did back LSU. We had a big play on it. And I got to give Deshaun Foster a lot of credit. 2 weeks ago, we had Indiana, which is becoming one of the big stories of college football. We'll see what they're able to do back in Bloomington, taking on Maryland as a little bit more than a touchdown favorite this weekend against the Terps. But we had Indiana in the Rose Bowl 2 weeks ago, and they completely demolished Deshaun Foster and UCLA. I didn't see any way that UCLA was going to go on the road to take on a hungry LSU team and be able to do anything. The game was tied at halftime. LSU flirted with a cover late. They couldn't get there. But now Deshaun Foster and UCLA, they go back home, dating back to 1990. This is the first time UCLA has closed as back-to-back 20-point dogs. That has been a long, long time. They haven't been in this spot, and this is how bad this program is. Again, I'll give them a lot of credit. They scratched and clawed. They got a cover last week, but now they're taking on a Ducks team that we have backed in week 2. Didn't get it against Boise State, but we did back them in week 3. That was their get-right game in Corvallis against Oregon State. They're 15-3 straight up and 11-6-1 against the number. Their last 18 against the Bruins since 2000. I don't think much changes here. I think UCLA is completely out of gas. I know we're not even into October, but this number right now is 25.5 on the road. I am laying the 25.5. It doesn't scare me. I could see Oregon covering this thing at halftime. But we're going to lock that in right there. We're going to take the Ducks minus 25.5. By the way, low total to go along with that. It just tells me UCLA's offense is going to have no success against Oregon. And I think Dylan Gabriel on that offense up and down the field in the Rose Bowl. So we're locking in Oregon minus the 25.5. And just to recap, we've got Central Florida minus 14. We've got Auburn plus 2. We are taking Georgia on the road in college football's biggest game of the weekend minus the 2. We've got FSU, a little momentum going into Dallas, plus the 6.5. And finally, we're going to close it out. You guys are going to be up till 2:30 in the morning, but everybody loves that because you'll have plenty of adrenaline with your college football going deep into the night and early into Sunday morning. But we are laying the 25.5 right there. You've got the prop from Luke. You've got the winner in the Group 5 game from Coach Rick. But jump on board with us. Win all weekend long. Very simple here. YLose.com/Lance. Daily package $49. Weekly $99. Monthly $2.99. We would love for you to sign up for the monthly. Just jump on board and crush it with us. But if we don't go 3-0 with the 3 games that we've got circled this weekend, it's very simple. You buy the daily, we're going to upgrade you to the weekly. You buy the weekly for $99. We don't go 3-0, we're going to upgrade you to the monthly. That simple. Again, YLose.com/Lance. Let's all win out there. Let's crush it. Really appreciate you joining us right here on the YLose Campus Pod. We will be back with you next week to preview Week 6 of the college football season.